when you seek me with all of your heart. Hopefully you found a bit more about Jesus. You found a bit more about God's love. No one can comprehend it completely. Are we all okay if I speak in English, or should I? All okay, yeah? Right. So if you know, it's very, it's not possible to comprehend the entirety of Christ, entirety of God. But if you could get closer and closer and closer, our hope is at some point we will know Him completely, right? And the question we need to ask ourselves is, have I known Him? Have I found Him a little more in 2024? Or how much more have I known Him in 2024? So if the answer is, yes, I know Him in a special way in 2023, I didn't know certain aspects of Jesus, but I now know a little more about Him, that's great, right? And keep going on it. It's an eternal promise. So to know Him is a process, and hopefully in 2025, 2026, you will keep knowing Him more and more and more. I think when brother asked me to speak about 2-3 weeks ago, I was asking God straight away, Lord, what should I speak? Because I'm quite skeptical with these promise messages. I'll be very honest with you. Because you don't want to pull out some verse out of context and start speaking saying that this is the promise God has given to us. I'm very skeptical about it. So I went to God and asked Him, what should I be speaking on, right? And God reminded me of one particular verse. But then I thought, okay, that wasn't very easy to speak on. So I was trying to go to different areas to find out what I should be speaking on. But God brought me back into this verse again and again through different people over the last 2 weeks, in multiple different people. So I said, okay, Lord, this is probably what you want to speak. So I stopped and I found so much depth in this word, right? So that's what I'm going to share with you all today. You see, before I share this word, probably, good to see you, brother. Probably you heard about these two air crash recently. Anyone heard about it? Two aircraft crash? Yes. One is the Azerbaijan Airlines, and the other one is the South Korean Airlines. Okay. So I was following these two, see what is happening. I was just looking at these aircraft crashes. In Azerbaijan crash, do you know what happened? So the Russian missile defense system, right? It mistook the aircraft for an incoming missile and shot that aircraft down, right? And that's the reason for it. Russian defense systems are quite advanced. It's been tested and tried multiple times. It thought a big aircraft to be a little missile that's coming towards Russia and shot that thing. And this Korean aircraft crash is even worse. There's 179 people died, and I saw one pilot explaining what happened there. Basically, the landing gear failed, so the tire didn't come out, the wheel didn't come out. So therefore, the pilot had to do belly landing, right? So without the thing, it's a very common procedure. Many aircrafts every day, so some part of the world always do belly landing. That's very common. But when they were belly landing, there was a solid wall at the end of the runway, and the aircraft crashed into it, and that's the reason why 179 people died. And the pilot was saying, this retired pilot was saying, I have never seen anything like this, because airports are built by very smart people. They are engineers. They study years and years. Safety officers study years and years about safety of the airbase or the runway. And nobody picked it up that there was this solid wall. It should be a collapsible structure apparently. Because if the aircraft overshoots the runway, this structure should really collapse. So it should be a temporary structure. But somehow he was baffled. He said, I've never seen anything like this. How can multiple people, like air traffic controllers missed it, the safety officers missed it, the people who built the engineers missed it. How did these smart people miss such a simple thing that cost 179 people's life? And even at that crisis time, if someone would have noticed, these guys who are very good in crisis management, if someone would have noticed that, they would have diverted the flight to a different air base or different airport so they could have landed safely. And he was baffled. How is this these smart people have missed it? But I wasn't baffled. I've seen enough in my these 48 years that human intelligence and wisdom has limitations, right? You could plan whatever you want in life, but it is very hard to say, it is impossible to say human wisdom is foolproof. There's always something that if you know anything about air safety, if you know anything, there's something called cheese model. Have a look at it. It has multiple layers of safety precautions, right? Even that is not good enough to save this 179 people. What does that tell you? What is that tells me? It tells me nowhere in this earth, no NHS, no air traffic control, no PhDs, no universities, none of these intellectuals can really get it right. They could get it wrong, right? So if you bank your trust on NHS to help you, if you bank your trust on your wisdom to help you, if you bank your trust on your financial backing to help you, if you put your trust on your friends who are smart to help you, I tell you, you will be disappointed. The most intelligent people on this earth gets things wrong, all right? And what seems to be a simple thing for others could look like a complicated thing for others. So human brain has a lot of limitations. So drawing help from human resources, you need to be really careful because it has limitations. Smartest of the smartest people designed these air runways. See how naive or how stupid this has been. So he was like, he couldn't believe it, but I believe. I mean, it wasn't a surprise for me because I've seen so many things in my life that human supposed to be the smart persons get it wrong. So what is the solution? I mean, where are you going to get help from? Bible gives a solution for it, all right? You may have, I don't know what problems you're facing. I'm sure many of you are going through different things in life. I'm sure many of you are in high points, happy, joyful life. Many may not be as joyful as others. Multiple points in life. I'm in some point in my life. You'll be at some point in life. So we all need something from God. So if you go to Proverbs 3, I'm just going to read 3:3. Proverbs 3:3. I'll read it slowly. Look what it says in Proverbs 3:3 and 4. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. All right? Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on your tablet of your heart. Love and faithfulness. Do that. If you do that, if you don't forget, if you don't let love and faithfulness leave you, what will happen? Proverbs 3:4. Then you will find favor, means help. God will come and favor you or help you. And a good name in the sight of God and man. So if you want help from God and from man, right? If you want God to favor you, if you want man to favor you, all right, what we need to do is to get two things. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Never ever leave you. If you are after human help, if you are after human favor, forget about it. This promise is not for you. Predominantly, if you are after God's favor, and thereby human favor, then this promise is for you. This is what God said. He says, let love and faithfulness never leave you. If you don't do that, if you write it in your heart, if you wear it in your neck, if you write it in your tablet of heart tablet, then he says, you will find, you will, not may, read it very carefully, then you will find favor and good name in the sight of God first and then man. God will favor you, man will favor you. That's a good thing. Now, if that is the case, right, now we need to find out, we need to unpack what is this love, what is this faithfulness. In the surface, it looks very commonly used terms, right? Faith, love, and faithfulness. But God taught me a few things through Joseph's life. That's what I'm going to present to you. Okay? Let's go to Genesis 39, 20 and 20 to 23. Look what happened in Joseph's life. Genesis 39, 20, 23. Joseph's master, Genesis 39, ஆதியாகமம் 39வது அதிகாரம் 20வது வசனம் இருந்து 23. மொத புஸ்தகம் brother. First book, Genesis 39, 20 to 23. Alright. ஆதியாகமம் 39, 20லிருந்து 23. Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. But while Joseph was there in prison, the Lord was with him to show him favor. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison ward. So God was helping him, and he was letting the prison guard to help Joseph as well. All right? He was pleased. God was with him. The Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. So the warden put Joseph in charge of all those who held in prison, and he was made responsible for all that was done there. The warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care, because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. God was really helping him. He was favoring him. He was favoring. God was favoring him, and also he was sending human favor. The manager of the prison was also favoring him, so much so that the manager did not even care what Joseph did. He gave complete in charge of the prison into Joseph's hand. Can you believe that? He is not an Egyptian, first to start with. He is a foreigner, and he is a prisoner, right? And he was a high-profile prisoner. He has committed crime, supposedly committed crime against one of the high officials. So he must be punished more. But what has happened here? The tables have turned. That the prisoner has been brought to the managerial position, and the prison manager did not even care what Joseph did. He said, here you go, this is the keys, these are the prisoners, and I won't question you, you do whatever you want. It's unheard of. I can't think of any prison warden giving in charge to a prisoner so much so that he doesn't even care what he was doing. So much he was favored. So God favored Joseph because God was with him, and he showed kindness, Bible records, and he also let human beings favor Joseph. You see, this is very important. If you really want favor from human beings, if you want your manager to favor you, if you want your, anybody, your friend to favor you, or your relatives to favor you, your brother to favor you, your neighbor to favor you, your teachers to favor you, first of all, you shouldn't look to the human beings. It should be starting from God. God must be pleased with you. God must first favor you. Automatically humans will start favoring us. Automatically the human authorities will start favoring us. But if God is not favoring us, you'll be running from human to human to human to human. And at the end of the day, what happened to this 179 people could happen to us too, if we rely on human wisdom and human help. Right? So it's very important. And so we're going to look at Joseph's life and see how he held on to love and faithfulness. How did he hold on to love and faithfulness? We could learn this and we could apply this in our own personal life, so that we will start getting God's favor in 2025 in a special way, and thereby we will also get human favor in a special way. All right? So no matter where you are in your life, you can't be worse than Joseph. You're not in prison. You're all outside here. So if God could do that for Joseph, he could do that for us as well. But there are conditions to fulfill. This is not some sort of astrological promise I'm giving. This is biblical based, truth based, evidence based promise. So if we could play by God's rule, we will definitely could inherit this promise. Let's go to see what Bible says about love and how Joseph loved God and others. Let's go to Mark 12:28. Look what first Jesus says about love. Mark 12:28. One of the teachers of the law came and heard them debating. Noticing that Jesus has given them a good answer, he asked them, of all the commandments, which is the most important one? And Jesus said, the most important one, Jesus answered, is this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. Right? Love the Lord your God, first of all, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this, love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than this. So he's saying, love your Lord with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And then you also love your neighbor. Yeah, neighbor could be anybody. It could be a brother, a sister, your co-worker. Anybody is your neighbor. Right? So neighbors, human beings, love fellow human beings. But first start with loving God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And Jesus goes one step more in Matthew 5. If you go to Matthew 5:43. So he says, love God, love your neighbor. Here he says, see what he says, 5:43, Matthew 5:43. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Right? This is Jesus' love. Right? The Old Testament love is to love your neighbor. But Jesus says, I'm going to give you a new commandments. Like I'm going to step it up a little more. It's not only loving God and neighbor. Love your enemies too. Love people who hate you. Alright? That you may be children of the Father in heaven. He causes the sun to rise on evil and good. When Remy was praying, she was praying about this. So he brings the sun out for both evil and good people and evil people, and sends rain on righteous and unrighteousness, right? Righteous people. If you love those who love you, what reward you will get? Or not even tax collectors doing that? If you greet only your own people, what you are doing more than others. Do not even pagans do that. Be perfect, therefore you, as your heavenly Father is perfect. So he's saying, so Jesus, when he was in this world, he speaks about love. He says, love your God with all your heart, mind, and soul and strength. Love your neighbors, that's fellow human beings, your friends, your brothers, your colleagues, your whatever. And also Jesus takes it one step ahead and says, love people who hate you, who wants you gone, who wants to have bad time at your work, who wants to give you trouble at your house, or gives you grief in a road rage. He says, love those people as well. You see, it's all easy to say, right? It's very, very theoretical sometimes when we speak about these things. This is what the problem is. When we speak this flowery language and look so pious and righteous, we tend to miss the true core meaning of it. And I saw this in Joseph's life. This fella, Joseph, right? I don't know how he got it. Jesus was not there. Jesus, because olden days, right? It was like an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Simple as that, right? And I don't know how he got this Jesus love. It's only years later, 3,000 years later, Jesus has mentioned this. But he understood this way before. Look what happened. Let's go to Genesis 37 now. Okay, look what happened to Joseph. We're going to look at how he showed this love and how we can learn from him and show this love as well. In Genesis 37:18, but when his brothers saw him in distance, and before he reached them, right, now his own brothers, all right, single father, own brothers, they all brought up in the same house, ate the same food, and they plotted to kill him because they were jealous that their father is showing more love to this Joseph. So they developed jealousy. The own brothers have been jealous of his father's love for him. Jealousy is one step, but to kill somebody, to kill your own brother, that is hatred to the maximum. Do you know anyone who killed their brother? I mean, I don't know, but I've heard about this in news sometimes. If you're for property issues mainly, when they divide this property, if one gets more or less, they kill each other. But this is just jealous because the father loved him. That's all, and they decided to kill this guy. Right? Look at things that stacked against him. His entire brotherhood is against him. Second, he comes. Then they say 19. Here comes the dreamer, they said to each other. Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of those cisterns and say that the ferocious animal devoured him. Then we will see what comes of his dream. All right, this fella, let's finish him off. All right. Well, we may not have enemies that are out to kill us, but there is always human beings around us who wants to push us down or give us trouble. I've seen them many times in my workplaces. I've seen them, but you will go across these phases in your life where there are human beings. It could be your relative, it could be your friend, it could be your classmate, it could be your workplace manager, wanting you to be gone out of the scene for some reason. All right, could be jealousy. It could be that they are threatened by your presence there, or it could be because you might be smart. I don't know. There are reasons. And this guy, God was with him and showed few things about his future. His own brothers got jealousy and wanted to kill him. Now 21. When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue from their hand. Let's not take his life. Don't shed any blood. Throw him into the cistern, into the wilderness, and don't lay a hand on him. Reuben said this to rescue him from. That's a good guy. 23. So when Joseph came to his brother, they stripped him of his robe. All right, just think about this little boy coming to feed this brother, and they strip him of the clothes. Okay, robe, the ornate robe he was wearing, and they took him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty, and there was no water in it. Now, they have thrown this guy into the cistern where there's no water. Let him die there. And look what they are doing immediately after that. They sat down to eat a meal. Is that what you do when your own brother is being killed? Can you imagine this Joseph's mind? What he must be thinking? He must be there in the deepest cistern, can't be rescued, can't come out, he's going to die. Now his fear is setting down, where he hears his brothers out there maybe arguing who gets the biggest piece of chicken or mutton or this is the situation he is going through. Pure hatred and pure evil from his own brothers. Right? This is what this guy, young Joseph, had to go through. Quite traumatic if you think about it, really, right? And then look what Judah is saying, 26. Okay, no, sorry, 25. As they sat down to eat their meal, then they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with spice and warm mirth, and they were on the way to take them to Egypt. Judah said to the brothers, this guy want to gain from Joseph's demise, or Joseph's, taken away from the equation. So he said, what will we gain if we kill our brother and cover blood? So let's make some money out of it. So come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites. Not lay hands on them. After all, he's our brother. All this own flesh and blood and all those nonsense he's talking about. If you're really if you really think he's your own flesh and blood, will you really sell him like that? So they were trying to make money out of it. His brothers agreed. So when the Midianites merchants came by, his brothers pulled Joseph out of cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt. This is the trauma this little boy had to go through, right? Now, slaves are not treated well. Sometimes it's better to die instead of being a slave, where you get beaten every day and treated. Even today in Middle East, people. I've heard a lady jumping out of a window, the house window, and falling down and died because she couldn't take it anymore as a servant. But think about the conditions of slaves then. All right, it's quite a dreadful situation. Now he moves, the camel, the camel moves, and the whole. Do you think they would have put him on a cart or something? They would have allowed him to make him to walk. And these guys were eating and having good time, where Joseph is being taken to Egypt. You see, Psalms 105 gives a little more insight into what Joseph was going through. If you go to Psalm 105, 16 onwards, it talks about Joseph, all right, Psalms 105, 16 to 19. He called down famine on the land, that's God called down famine on Egypt, and destroyed all their supplies of food. And he sent a man before them, Joseph sold as a slave. They bruised him, they hit him, they probably slashed him, I don't know what they did. They bruised him, bruised his feet with shackles. His neck was put in irons, till when he foretold came to pass, till the word of the Lord proved him true. So until then, he was beaten up, he was chained, he was pretty ill-treated in Egypt. I don't know by who, maybe before Potiphar the Ishmaelites did it, or it could be the early days of prison, because we know prison, the prison guard gave him a good treatment. I don't know who did this, but somehow he was beaten up, he was bruised, and his neck was put in iron. But this was by his own brothers doing. And the brothers knew this is what's going to happen to Joseph when he goes to Egypt. You see, sometimes if somebody backstabs us, right? It could be our friend, or it could be our brother, sister, it could be our colleague. The pain is quite hard. It goes very deep. It goes very deep. If someone else whom you don't trust does something bad, is very different. It hurts, but it doesn't hurt as much as the ones who we are supposed to love hurts us. You want love from them. You want trust from them. This is exactly what's happening with Joseph. The group of people who's supposed to look after him and care him and pamper him and feed him are the one who backstabs him and put him in this hardest life. Right? It's not just shouting at him. They really want him dead. That's quite bad. And I can't imagine what his mind would have gone through, this Joseph. It doesn't, but I'll tell you what is going through later. Anyway, let's go to what is happening. See, days pass by, right? Days pass by, and we know what happened in Potiphar's palace. So everything happened, and then Pharaoh elevates him to the second position. Now he's second in command. Second in command. The entire Egypt, the superpower, right? He's like a vice president of America, for example. He has a lot of power. He is much more higher than Potiphar. Much more higher. Much more higher than the prison guys who hit him or put him in shackles or bruised him. Tell me, in one place, is there any place in Bible where it says he took revenge on these people? The people who sold him, people who beat him, bruised him, put him in iron shackles, Potiphar's wife, no revenge, no revenge, no revenge. Instead, look at his heart. This is what I want to share. And this is, if we can get this heart, God will also start showing favor for us. Look, let's read Genesis 45. This is the heart Joseph had, and this is the heart God wants us to have. Right? Genesis 45:4. I'll read it. This is the same brothers who put him in this cistern, sold him to Ishmaelites to be dead. These guys he's seeing again. Then Joseph said to his brother, "Come close to me." When they had done so, he said, "I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt, and now do not be distressed." Well, they should really be distressed, but he says, do not be distressed. Don't even worry. Don't even worry. And do not be angry with yourself. At least you say, at least you have to feel yourself ashamed or angry. He said, don't even feel that. Don't even feel that. Why? Angry with yourself for selling me here, because it was to save the lives that God sent me ahead of you. It is not you who was in charge of my life. See, this is important. Although you thought you are troubling me, although you thought you were persecuting me, although you thought you are denying me my rights, it's not you. It was God who was behind all these things. It was not you. You see, this is the attitude. If we have this attitude, we could start loving our enemies. God taught me this few years ago, quite a long time ago. Until then, I used to feel quite resentful and angry with people who are targeting me or bullying me or trying to put me down or corner me. These people, you will see them all the time in your workplace, in your day-to-day life. People who try to demean you and push you down. But don't forget, if your heart is sold out for Him, if you really love Him and worship Him and truly follow Him, it is not them who's doing it. It is God who is letting them do it. Don't forget that. And He's saying, it is not you. God is the one who sent me ahead of you. For 2 years now, there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years, there will be no plowing and reaping. Verse 7, but God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you remnant on earth, to preserve the one who tried to kill him. He's saying, God sent me. It's not you who sent me here. You thought you sold me to the Egyptians. It's not you. It is God who sent me here for what? To save you. To save you. Right? You thought you're killing me, but God is the one who allowed me to do that so that I can be a blessing for you. This is loving the enemies. Right? Loving your enemies. Loving the one who tries to kill you. Exactly Jesus' heart. Father, forgive them, as they do not know what they are doing. Right? They know not what they are doing. So therefore, Lord, although they're killing me, although they are poking me, although they are stabbing me here and there, left and right, although they are using these lashes to lash me, please forgive them, because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know. If we can have this attitude, if we can see God behind these persecution that come our way, if we could see God behind these people who persecute us and give us trouble, then we can start loving these enemies. And he goes, God is the one who God has sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. Right? And he doesn't stop there. 8. So then it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh. See how many times he repeats that. So don't worry. He says they probably have very worrying and shaking probably. Right? Probably they were like, well, I'm probably going to be killed here. That's what they must have been thinking. But that's not what Joseph's heart was. That's why he didn't put Potiphar in prison. That's why he didn't put Potiphar's wife in prison. Can you imagine being accused of rape and put in prison? It's quite demeaning thing to do. But he didn't take any revenge. Bible doesn't record he took any revenge against them. He could have, but he didn't. Revenge, God says, is mine. Don't worry about it. Just leave it to me. All you have to do, but love your enemies. Love God. See, loving this enemy only comes if we love God and trust Him. Right? First, it should be love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and then you love your enemy. It will work. But if you try to love your enemy without loving God, it will never work. It will never work. So here Joseph says, see, I know who he is. I know who my Lord is. I know exactly who spoke to me of those dreams. I know exactly whom I follow. His love, I know that. I've tasted it. Therefore, don't worry. Don't worry about it. It's not you. It's not you. It's not Potiphar. It's not Potiphar's wife. It's not Pharaoh. It's not the prison guard. It's not the prisoners. No one is in charge of my life. It's God who is in charge of my life. Therefore, I choose to love you. I choose to forgive you. When we start loving the people who are troubling us, right? When you come to that point, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. If you don't love God and trust God, and if you don't understand that God is the one who's directing all your steps, no matter how hard it is, if you don't come to that point, it's impossible to love our enemies. It's impossible to love our enemies. But if we know that God is the one who is behind all these little movements that we are moving, then you will start loving our neighbors and enemies. This is exactly what's happening in Joseph. When I saw this, I said, okay, my God, how did this guy get this heart? Because Old Testament is all about vengeance and fighting and killing each other and taking the eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. That is allowed. On those days it was allowed. God himself have allowed this. But he went one step ahead. He understood the heart of God, right? Not the law of God. He understood the heart of God. And the heart of God is the one that Jesus came to expose. When he said 3,000 years later, he said, love your enemies. So my brothers and sisters, so let's finish this reading. So 8. So then it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh, lord of his entire household, and the ruler of Egypt. Now hurry back to the father and say to him, this is what your son Joseph says, God has made me lord of Egypt. Right? How many times this guy uses God is like, come down to me, don't delay. You shall live in the region of Goshen and live in me. You, your children, your grandchildren, your flocks, your herds, all you had, I will provide for you there, because 5 years of famine are still to come. Otherwise, you and your household and all you belong to you will become destitute. You'll be destroyed. The guys who tried to destroy him, Joseph now has a chance to destroy them back. Yes or no? Yeah? He has a brilliant chance. Or he doesn't have to kill anybody. He doesn't have to put them in prison. All you could say is God is dealing with them justly. That's all he has to say. He say, I prayed to God, and God is the one who is dealing with them righteously. Let them die. Easily he could have said that. But he didn't say that. Yes, you did put me in system. Yes, you tried to kill me. Yes, you sold me to these Midianites. Yes, I got lashed, I got beaten, I got chained, I got bruised. I got falsely accused. All this is because of you. But still, I choose to love you. Still, I choose to forgive you. Can you, this heart of this Joseph, when I read this really touched me. How did this guy did that? You know, Egypt is not meant. Egyptians were not like that. They were following idols, and they were killing each other, and their vengeance is one of them. Like, you know, you get a prisoner of war, they'll treat them like a proper prisoner of war, put them into as a slave. Slavery was rampant in Egypt. When he had all these examples around him of vengeance and fight and enmity and anger and false accusation, Potiphar's wife was falsely. When he saw all this around him, how was he able to stand pure? How was he able to have this heart? I see he had this personal touch with God. He loved the God. Probably he had heard it from Isaac, right? You should love God, right? Or Jacob, you should love God. Like Isaac was loving God, or Abraham was loving God, I was loving God. Therefore, you should love God. Probably he heard few things from him, and he heard directly from God. I don't know, maybe because the Bible records that God is speaking to him through dreams. Unless you have this personal touch with God, unless you understand the heart of God, unless you love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, it is impossible. It is impossible to love our neighbors. It's impossible to love our enemies. It's impossible to forgive our enemies. So, if you want God's favor, if you want man's favor in 2025, have this love. Take this love and wear it around the neck. Proverbs. I'm going to read the Proverbs one more time. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Not just one day. Don't let that leave you. Right? So if you can't forgive someone, my brother, sister, forget about God's favor. He won't favor you. Right? Forget about man's favor. If you can't love everybody, if you can't forgive your enemy, if you can't forgive your neighbor, forget about the favor from God. Love is very important, right? If you love, you will forgive. Look at Joseph. So the forgiveness of Joseph comes from the love he had for his enemies, right? So I don't know who your enemy is. I don't know who your neighbor is. I don't know who is persecuting you. I don't know who is troubling you in your life. Forgive everybody. Choose love, right? So the way to do it is, think about this. It is not them who's persecuting you. It's not them who's troubling you. It is God who's testing you. It's God who's trying to make you stronger and gave you an opportunity to love that person. So choose 2025. Choose to forgive anybody and everybody who's troubling you or who have troubled you in the past. If Joseph could forgive, not only forgive, he could have said, okay, I forgive you, just go away and live your life. That would have been a big thing. Right? I'm not going to put you in jail. I'm not going to kill you. I could easily kill you. I could easily put you all in jail, but I won't do you. Just I forgive you, you go and live your life. They would have gone, probably lived their life, probably, died, or I don't know what would have happened. That would have been a big thing. But that's not what he did. He said, come, I will show you love. I'll show true love. I will give you food. I'll give you accommodation. I'll put you in the royal palace. I'll treat you as if you love me. Although you didn't love me, I'll treat you as if you love me. This is the heart of God. Right? So think about it. Let love never leave you. Let love for God never leave you. Let love for neighbors never leave you. When it comes to neighbors, it's everybody. It's your husband, it's your wife, it's your children, it's your parents, it's your next house, it's your brother, it's your sister, it's your dad, mom, uncle, auntie, anyone, mother-in-law, father-in-law, it doesn't matter. If Joseph could love people who are out to kill him, I don't know, maybe we'll find out in heaven. I have a feeling he probably would have done some favor to Potiphar's wife as well. Think about it. If Potiphar's wife was in a tight spot, imagine if she ran into a big trouble, or is Potiphar and Potiphar's wife has ran into a big trouble. They come to Joseph, or Joseph comes to know about it. What do you think he would have done? He would have helped them. He would have helped them to get out of this tight spot. Such is his heart. So think about it, right? Think about Joseph's heart. How he is able to do it? How is he able to do it? He's able to do it because he thinks human beings are not the masters of his life. It's God who's directing the human beings around him. That is very important. All right? So don't look at the situation and feel despair. Don't look at the situation. Don't look at what is happening to you and despair. It's God who is acting behind it. Look at the God who is behind those situations and praise God and thank Him. You will start loving human beings. You will start loving God more and more. Love. Let's go to the next point. The faithfulness. What is faithfulness? You see, today we sang a song. Let's look at this. It says, "Yesuvai pol alagulor யாருமில்லை பூவினில் இதுவரை கண்டதில்லை காண்பதில்லை பூரண அழகுள்ளவரே பூவில் எந்தன் வாழ்க்கை அதில் நீரே போதும் வேறே வேண்டாம் எந்த நண்பர் இயேசுவே மண்ணுக்காக மாணிக்கத்தை விட்டிட மாட்டேன் மண்ணுக்காக மாணிக்க." See here we all have this choice. We have Jesus, our bridegroom, all right, and then we have this fleeting pleasures of this earth. So we have this choice always presented to us. Whether you will be truthful to your bridegroom as a bride, all right, or will you be unfaithful to this bridegroom and go behind these fleeting pleasures. All right? See, this is the major problem of Israelites. The Israelites, the reason why God hated or punished Israelites is because they were not faithful. They were like prostitutes, as Bible says. They were going behind these, instead of married to the true bride, they were going behind these worldly pleasures wherever they were. That is what God really hated. So here we have, as this song records, you have choice. You have a treasure in the form of Jesus Christ, and you have a fleeting pleasures or sand or mud or dirt in the other side. And we always have, Adam had this pull. God gave Adam a choice. He said, don't eat from this tree that will give you the knowledge of good and evil. Don't do that. Did he put any fence around it? He didn't. He could have easily sent a couple of angels to say, watch over these fellas, in case if they go near the tree, just tell them to get away. He could have wanted. He didn't. See, your faithfulness will be tested. God will not stop you from doing sins. This is very important, all right? God will not stop you from going into this tree of knowledge. God will tell you, don't do this, don't do that. But then it's up to you whether you want to be faithful to His word or not. Whether you are faithful to God or not will be tested every day of our lives until a point where God thinks we can handle these things. But this world, this song is so beautifully written. And one of the things is in third stanza I say, Jerusalem குமாரிகளே எந்தனை வளைத்தோராய் உம்மில் உள்ள எந்த நன்மை நீக்க முயன்றால் பூரண அழகுள்ளவரே பூவிலங்க. See, it says Jerusalem Kumaratigal. Maybe it's not Jerusalem Kumaratigal for you. It could be money. It could be I don't know, drugs, or it could be jealousy. It could be porn. I don't know what it is. It could be a filthy movie. It could be anything. It could be anything. It could be anger issues. It could be hating others. I don't know what it is for you, but there is always a sin that's knocking on our door to pull away the faithfulness we have for our bridegroom. And the moment we yield into it, it really breaks his heart. Unfaithfulness is the worst sin you can have. Now, God tells us, don't do that. Love your enemy, right? Or he tells you, don't covet, for example. Don't be jealousy. Don't get angry, right? He tells us all these things. Because he tells us and thinks we will be a faithful bride for him. And we will be like a pure bride with white clothes, like Revelation talks about. But when nobody sees us, when nobody monitors us, what do? Do we lie for our gain? Do we covet money? Do we go behind the things of the world, enjoy the pleasures of the world, and then Sunday comes and pretend as if we are faithful to God? At work, how do we behave? Do we backbite? Do we gossip? And then come on Sunday and pretend as if we are faithful? That's faithless. That's faithless. This is exactly what happened in Joseph's life. He could have been faithless easily. Nobody would have noticed this. His father is not there, his brothers are not there, his friends are not there. Potiphar's wife was wanting to sleep with him. He could have had promotions, he could have had money, he could have probably built a house by doing a little sin. If you are in the good books of your master's wife, you could get anything you want on those days. Plus, you also enjoy the pleasures of the world. But look what he is doing. You see, the option is, look what he says. Let's go to Genesis 39. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's so good. 39, Genesis 39. 6. So Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. Okay? So he's again in charge of Potiphar's house. Alright? What does it tell me? It tells me by not playing along with Potiphar's wife, he's going to lose a big deal. Right? It is not like he was not going to lose much. He's going to lose a lot because he's in a top management position here. See, this is one of the problems we will face. When our positions go high, when our economic conditions goes high, when our job promotion goes high, right? Our temptation to give up that is more. When you don't have anything, it's very easy to be a good person, be a sinless person, or be a holy person. When our positions go high, when you have a lot to lose, this is when it's really tested whether you're faithful or not. Right? If you don't have any temptations in life, if you don't have much to lose in life, it's easy to be faithful. It's easy to be a good person. But when you're in a high position like this Joseph, and then he has a lot to lose, right? A guy, think about it, a guy who was about to be killed, a guy who has been sold to these Ishmaelites, who has been dragged down hundreds of miles, being a slave maybe in a few places, I don't know what it is, and to become a manager position, he must have worked really hard to get there. Everything is at stake. Everything is at stake. Look what he does. He did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. This is Potiphar. Now Joseph was well built and handsome. And after a while his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." But he refused with me in charge. He told her, "My master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he wants he has entrusted to my care. Stop there. Now he is being faithful to his master, to a fellow human being. All right, my fellow human being. This is very important, right? When we are given at work, when we are given responsibilities, are we faithful to that? Right? Especially when nobody is monitoring it, when nobody is behind you, are we still? See, if somebody is monitoring you all the time, looking whether you're on the Teams call or whether you are all working, or whether you hit the target, that's easy to be faithful. But when it comes to a point where nobody is monitoring you, you're in top position now, nobody questions you anymore, or when you're in nobody supervises you, or you're given a task that you can do it or not do it, are you faithful there? Are you faithful there? When Potiphar is not watching, look, this guy is how faithful to Potiphar. All right? When Potiphar is watching, or if Potiphar has allocated 2 servants to watch Joseph, if he was faithful, that's a different story. But here he's faithful when nobody is watching. See, this will be tested. This is exactly where Adam failed. Adam was left alone in Eden, not monitored, left alone, and he fell. Right? So our faithfulness, our true faithfulness will be tested when nobody is monitoring us, when our positions go high, when we go into the places of authority. This is when you will be tested. When we are in authority, when we climb higher in corporate ladder, or when we become a bit more powerful in the society we live, that's when our faithfulness will be tested. Are you really faithful? Are you really, because God has given you this, are you really faithful? Alright? In little things, in office supplies, for example, do we just take it for granted and take those office supplies which you're not meant to be doing it? Alright? Because nobody monitors it. You could give thousands of reasons for it. You could say, oh, my office, they don't mind, it's a big company, they have millions of pounds. What is there in a little rim of paper? No, that's not yours. That's not yours. You shouldn't be touching it, right? Are you faithful in these little things when nobody is watching, nobody is monitoring, nobody? Same goes to your money. How are you handling money when no one monitors it? What are you watching in the laptop when nobody is monitoring it? What are you doing when you're traveling alone without your family? All these things will be monitored. All these things matters. Faithfulness to fellow human beings, your wife, your husband, are you faithful? Nobody is monitoring. Are you faithful to them? To your parents, are you faithful? They are putting interest in you. They are putting you in school. They are investing so much into your life. Are you faithful to their effort? Right? Are you in the workplace? Are you faithful? In your friend circle, when somebody trusts you, do you misuse the trust? Or are you being faithful to them? Very important questions. Very, very important questions. When nobody is monitoring you, nobody is really after you, are you being faithful? Or if somebody trusts you so much, are you being faithful to them? Very, very important question. Joseph, Potiphar trusts him, and Joseph says, I will not violate that trust. I will be faithful to him. Fellow human being. He could have easily violated that faith. Nobody would have noticed it. But he said, no, I won't do that. Faithful to humans. Secondly, 39:9. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such wicked thing and sin against God? Now, he's faithful to God too. All right? Now, he's faithful to his master. Now he's saying, sin. If I sin, I become faithless to my God above. Sin is a sign that we are faithless towards God. God trusts us. He entrusts us. He said, I give you my son. I'll give you my son to be crucified, and I put in so much sacrifice into this. All right? We will never know, as we sang, we'll never know how much it costs to see my sin upon that cross. Because he trusts us. He trusts us. He says, I give my son, I give so much sacrifice to clean my son, my daughter, so that they will live a life of purity. But are we faithful to that? Are we, he's trusting, like Potiphar trusts Joseph, God trusts us to live a life of sin-free life. Are we faithful to that trust? Do we really value that love? Do you really value that trust? If you really value it, and if you really believe that the sin you do or I do is going to break my master's heart, my husband's heart, or my bridegroom's heart, you will never do that, do we? To be fair, right? So, if you fall accidentally, that's a different thing. But if you scheme and plan, and if you get caught in the sin and you love that to do that sin and you cherish that sin, that's really faithless life. That's really faithless life. That life will really hurt Jesus Christ and our God's heart. Father's heart will be broken. If we are not faithful in that, all right? Bible, Jesus says, if you're not faithful in little things, how is that he's going to give a huge responsibility to us? How is he supposed to enlarge our territory and give us more money and give us more in our work and give us more in our ministry? How is he going to do that? He's not going to do that. So it's very important that we are faithful in little things, right? And one of the things that we need to be really faithful is in this area of sin, as Joseph was faithful. Although nobody was monitoring, although nobody taught him anything, although he didn't have a church to go to, although he didn't have a fellowship like this to go to, he didn't have a New Year service like what we have. But he knows one thing. He knows one thing. If I sin against God, he's not going to be happy. He's going to be heartbroken. And I don't want that. So therefore he says, I'll be faithful to my God. This is very important. So faithful to human and faithful to God. If we are faithful in little things, right, then God will start expanding the territory. He will give more and more treasures to us. He will open up things to us. He will favor us. He'll come and help us in our times of trouble. He'll come and enlarge our territory and give us more responsibility to it. If you're not faithful in these little things he gives us, little things such as office supplies or our break time or our money that we spend or lie that we speak just to get out of a tight spot. If you're unfaithful in these little things, forget about God's favor on our lives. Forget about God's help or human help. It is us who need to struggle all the way. And though she spoke to Joseph there, so we know what Joseph did eventually. He ran out of it, and then that's what got him into trouble. He knows that this will get him into trouble. He knows that, right? So he had a choice. Either I should be faithful to God or get into trouble. Right? So we all will be put in this spot. Either you stay faithful to God, or you could be getting into trouble with other human beings. Right? Like, I'll give you a random example. You see, when you go higher and higher, especially in workplaces, you're supposed to mingle and have alcohol and pretend that you are very worldly when you go to these conferences and Christmas parties. If you identify themselves as one of them and do and enjoy the fleeting pleasures and not tell them that you're being separated from the world and stay unfaithful there, nobody will notice. Your church members will not notice, your pastor will not notice, nobody will know that. But unfaithfulness there, God will notice. If you don't do that, you might get into trouble. They might tell you you're antisocial. They might not promote you, right? They might not be favorable in giving you projects or giving you a promotion. But I tell you one thing, God will find a way. I've been through this before. God will find a way to lift us up. God will find. He has 1,000 ways to do it. If he can't, if someone else stops us, something else will open. I've seen this time and again. I've done this. I've seen this in my life. You stay faithful. You stay truthful. And it's God's responsibility. And it's God's responsibility to find you favor and find you people to help you. Oh, I can give you so many examples in my life of that. But I don't want to do that. I mean, that's not the point of this. The point here is to look at Joseph. See, if he knows that he's going to get into trouble if he doesn't play along with Potiphar's wife. But he stayed faithful. That's very important. So love and faithfulness, if we can hold on to this, all right? God spoke to me a few other things, but I don't think we have time now. So we're going to stop here. If time permits, come to the second Saturday. We'll expand this a bit more. There's so much depth into this finding favor in God's eyes. But 2025, God will favor you. God will help you with your family life, with your work life, with your friends' life, with your health life, with your, I don't know what your needs are. I don't know what your needs are truly. There's so many needs. Could be, because everybody, we are all humans and we all have needs. It could be different. For children, it could be different. For adults, it could be different. I don't know what your needs are. But remember, human favor, human help is limited. Right? They can't even plan a belly landing of a flight without making mistake. It's very limited. So don't go behind human wisdom. Please don't go behind human help. Don't think about it. Don't feel sorry or don't feel bad if somebody stops helping you. Don't feel resentful if somebody didn't help you when you asked them. Don't bother. Don't worry. Stay with God. Do two things. Love God with all your heart, mind, soul and strength, and love the neighbors and the enemies as yourself. Secondly, stay faithful. Ask yourself this question: will my Father in heaven love it? Will my Jesus, who has given his life, will be pleased with this? If you don't know the answer, go to the Bible. It will tell you whether he's pleased with that or not. Go back to God. Ask him to show you whether he's pleased with that. He will show you whether he's pleased with that or not. If you stay faithful and if you don't flip-flop and love God alone and stay truthful to him, like Joseph was, right? He will definitely help you. You will find favor. I'm going to read that and then we'll finish. I'm going to read this song, beautiful song today we sung. லோக சுக மேன்மையெல்லாம் எந்தனை கவர்ச்சித்தால் பாவ சோதனைகள் எல்லாம் என்னை சோதித்தால் பூரண அழகுள்ளவரே பூவில் இந்த மேன்மையரே நீரே போதும் வேறே வேண்டாம் எந்த நண்பர் அன்பர் இயேசுவே மண்ணுக்காக மாணிக்கத்தை விட்டுருவேன். லோக சுக மேன்மையெல்லாம் என்னை கவர்ச்சித்து இழுக்க நினைத்தால் I will still stay faithful with Jesus Christ. நீர்மேல் மோதும் குமிழ் போல மின்னும் ஜடமோகமே. If something glittering tries to attract me, I will stay faithful to Jesus. எருசலேம் குமாரத்திகள் என்னை வளைந்தோராய் உம்மில் இந்த அன்பை நீக்க முயற்சித்தால் I will still stay faithful to Jesus. Sampurna Purna, yeah. So see, whatever is trying to take our faithfulness from Jesus Christ, stay alert in 2005. I strongly believe, I don't usually tell this, but I strongly believe many of us here really need this favor from God this year. I don't know what it is. I don't know why God is speaking to us. He's probably preparing us. Be ready. Be ready. You might go into troubles. You might get into issues. But don't forget, if you stay faithful and if you love God, He will favor you. He will help you. He will also send human beings to help you. Write it down somewhere, underline it, go back to God, and ask you to stay faithful. It's not easy. It's not easy because the pull of world is quite powerful. And loving God and loving our neighbor and enemies are not easy either. So be on alert and keep reminding this again and again yourself, and also write it down somewhere. Go back to God and say, Lord, I will decide to be faithful to you. I will love you with all my heart, mind and soul. I will also love my neighbors and also love my enemies. You have promised me to be favorable. You have promised me to help me. You also promised me to send human beings to help me. Please do. Follow that and keep asking God. I was not meant to preach this. I was meant to preach something else. I prepared the entire sermon differently, but God has pushed me twice, thrice to do this. So I believe all of my heart that all of you, maybe many of you, need a favor from God in 2025, and God is promising us to do that if we love God and stay faithful to God. So let's pray and then finish. Loving Father, Lord, thank you for your wonderful love that you have for us. Lord, thank you that you know our needs. You know what we need, Lord. In 2025, you know what is going to happen in our lives. You know exactly how January, February, March, April will be. Lord, I believe with all of my heart that many of us, or if not all of us, need this help from you to pull through 2025. Lord, with your help, if you are on our side, if God is on our side, who can be against us? Nobody can be against us. If the maker of heaven and earth, if the God who made everything from nothing is on our side, who are we to worry? Who are we to be scared of? Lord, no matter what the situation is, I pray, Lord, you will help each one of us here. You will find, Lord, I pray that all of them here under my voice, Lord, will find favor in your eyes, and also find favor in human beings around us. Lord, this is the promise that you're giving us, and this is the conditions you're giving us. Help us to love you with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Also help us to love our neighbors and understand that everything happening around us is you who's behind those situations. And help us to love our enemies too, and not only forgive them, but show favor to them if we can, Lord. Also, Lord, help us to stay faithful in whatever we do. Lord, if we can do that, you are not human being to forget your promise. And if we could stick to these things, you will definitely come through in our tight spot. And we will find favor in your eyes. We will find favor in other human beings' eyes too. Thank you for this promise. Lord, I pray that you will keep blessing us in 2025. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.